How are you doing, YouTube? It's your friendly gamer SmartEntity here. With update 14 just around the corner, quite literally, I thought I'd use this opportunity to do a quick review of all the remaining weapons from update 13, namely the Warframe, the Mutalist Quanta, and the new claw melee, the Venka, with the Warframe being the main focus of this video. Now, the Warframe is definitely a very strong weapon. It is much stronger than the initial bow. But having said that, unfortunately, I do have to classify this weapon as a mid-tier weapon, just because it does fall short by a little bit compared to the Dragon Nikana. And I'm sure we all know that even if it's a little bit from the outset, once you put a fully modded sort of 8 mod max mod on there, that little bit of difference translates to large DPS difference. Now, one thing that did surprise me a bit with the Warframe is its traveling utility. So I have a max fury as well as a max spoil strike on here. So spoil strike does decrease the speed a little bit, but despite that, the traveling utility is actually extremely impressive. Don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near as good as something like the Du Zorans or the Du Ikes, but it is much better than something like the Dragon Nikana. Now, as far as the stuns goes, the stuns polarity that matches this weapon is the Flating Brunch, and unfortunately there's really nothing too spectacular about it. Its main purpose is really just for sort of the extra mod points. The stuns combos don't really do that much more damage, and it's... Ooh, we're gonna get a Stalker here. Now we're gonna see, I actually wasn't planning this, but since we do have a Stalker, I do actually want to see how impressive this weapon goes against Stalker. I have a channeling build. I have Life Strike on, unfortunately, right now, but it is max reactor. Haven't put any potatoes on, so we'll see how this match against the Stalker. Well, that was very unimpressive. Don't get me wrong, I didn't solo that, at least I don't think so. Everyone sort of was shooting at it, but anyway, that was something. So one of the main reasons why it took me so long to bring you guys this video is because the Warframe handle, for the first week also that it was out, it was actually selling for 100 plat in chat. And even now, you can quite easily sell it for 60 to 80 plat, no problem. So I've been sort of doing a lot of trading, making plat, and that's why I haven't been crafting this weapon. Same reason that I haven't brought you guys a Loki Prime video yet, just because the helmet is still going very strong in chat, much longer than I thought. As far as the ornament goes, you need 2 ornaments, but anyone who's farmed for Loki Prime helmet should have more than enough of these ones. They drop quite literally like nanospores in your rotation A, so your 5 to 10 minute T4 survival and T1 as well. The blueprint drops from T2 mobile defense. The chance of drop is not that low, so that shouldn't be an issue either. Now, as far as modding goes, like I was saying, I definitely recommend a channeling build with this heavy hitter versus something like a speed build with a speed hitter such as the Du Ikes. So I've got Life Strike here. It's up to preference. You can definitely switch out Life Strike and put in some like Crop Charge in there to optimize that damage potential. I'm not going to talk about modding for different factions again, because you mod the same as Dragon Nikana, same as pretty much every other melee weapon, and the only time that you do mod things maybe slightly differently is if the melee weapon has a base elemental, but the final result is still very similar. One last thing I want to quickly mention about this weapon is, despite me calling it a mid-tier weapon, if you think back to my definition, where a top tier is something that's worth a catalyst, and your 5 to 6 polarities, and mid-tier is something that's just worth a catalyst, because it's melee, in which case you get the sort of added points from the stunts, and the fact that this comes with 2 polarities already, it's already sort of pretty much max build. And you don't really need any formats on there anyway, unless you want to, maybe switch this out for Crop Charge, in which case you will need a forma. Okay, so now we're going to have a quick look at the Mutalist Quanta. Now, this weapon is a very weak weapon. As far as tier goes, it's pretty much for mastery rank purposes only. Basically, it has a pretty standard fire. It is very weak. decent fire rate, same as the Boulder Prime. It is heat scan, but very weak firing weapon. I think the main unique thing about this weapon is its secondary, or zoom, which in this case is a secondary fire. It basically fires the bow. Now, it actually sounds a lot better on paper, in that, you know, on paper it's supposed to confuse enemies, it's supposed to make them fight each other, not much unlike Nexus Chaos, but in reality it just doesn't work that well. Mainly because you can't really control its trajectory path, and once you have two, you can't fire another one, so you have to wait until these two explode before you can fire the next one. So as far as utility goes for confusion, it doesn't do that much. With a 15 ammo consumption, it doesn't really do that much damage. Then, you know, it is pretty much just a mastery rank purposes only weapon. So the Mutalist Quanta is researched in your infested lab and then crafted thereafter. Again, using Warframe Wiki, excellent source by the way. So it takes, you know, if you're in a ghost clan, it really doesn't take that much to research, and it doesn't take that much to build as far as construction goes. But, you know, just comparing to something like, say, the Boulder Prime, which is a completely different weapon other than the fact they're both rifle, but it is a weapon that, you know, I usually like to compare just because it is pretty much one of the best weapons in the game. So comparing, you know, as far as the actual damage goes, it's pretty much far inferior. If you look at Boulder Prime, that's easily 55, and the Mutalist Quanta we're looking at, that's 22.5 to 25, so much lower, with same fire rate and pretty much no crit. It's really not, you know, a up to standard weapon. As far as status goes, it does have a bit of status, but, you know, at this stage in the game, status doesn't play a huge role. And lastly, let's talk about the Venka. Now, this new claw-like weapon definitely looks amazing. I would say it's probably the most amazing looking melee in the game right now. Unfortunately, that's really the only thing going for it. As far as power in terms of actual damage goes, is very weak. As far as actual speed or attack rate goes, it's nothing too impressive. And as far as traveling utility goes, it's actually horrible. You're pretty much better off, you know, using your sort of just normal slide compared to actually using this weapon as a traveling. It doesn't add any really additional traveling distance. If anything, it actually shortens it. But having said that, it's definitely fun to use, it's definitely fun to play with. As far as my tier classification goes, it is really just for mastery rank. So for me, I'm not gonna, you know, really gonna put a catalyst in just because it doesn't really perform. One thing that do surprise me, however, is the stunts that got released with this weapon, the Malicious Raptor. Went on for about 200 plat for the first couple of days or so, and even now, which is nearly a week after its release, it's still going strong for about 60 to 70 plat easy. Now the Venka is researched in your Tenno lab and then constructed thereafter. So the research requirement is pretty standard, and the construction doesn't really cost you that much at all. One forma, which is expected. As far as the 4 gallium goes, you know, if you've been playing the game for a while, especially doing towers, you would have a huge amount of gallium from before. Now gallium is no longer in towers. Argon crystals have replaced that, but I have about over 600 gallium, so it's not a big deal. Now, just comparing the Venka to something like, say, I mean, I have it against the Bow Prime here. Again, completely different weapon, so not the best comparison. But if you bear with me, you know, if you look at something like Bow Prime, it does have faster attack speed. It has much higher attack, and as you see in the, you know, videos, it has much better traveling utility. Now, the thing with the Venka is, you know, it is a fist-like weapon, but at this stage in the game, you know, none of the fists are really strong. I suppose we can try to compare it to the Ankylos Prime, which is over here. So comparatively, if you look at the Ankylos Prime, again, you know, that's impact-based, that's slash-based, but that aside, The Anchorage Prime does have slightly better attack, I believe. Let's just have a look. So 26.6, that's 11.4, so 37.38 from the Anchorage Prime, and that is 11.2, 36, 37.1. So the Anchorage Prime has slightly higher attack, but a much faster attack rate. But having said that, Anchorage Prime isn't a really good weapon to begin with, and you know, as far as all stats go, spin, leap, wall attack, it's all slightly better than the Venka, and also the crit is better as well. So overall, you know, I think the picture of the Venka really isn't a very strong weapon, other than the fact it looks cool. It may win a, you know, quotation beauty pageant in quotation. Other than that, it really won't win anything. So for that reason, I would put it in the mastery rank sort of category only. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Sorry to bring you guys this Bull Prime video so late. Again, the main reason is because the Bull Prime handle has been very hot in trade, and one of my sort of, I guess, priorities in this game is one of my viewers called it plat hoarding. But anyway, that's the video. Now, Loki Prime is still going very good, especially Loki Prime helmet, still going very strong in chat. I think with update 14 coming out, you know, it's just going to be a new frame, which there usually should be. The price of Loki Prime should drop sequentially, in which case it'll be time for me to make my Loki Prime. And I do have a few ideas, namely Radial Disarm combined with Vortex for your long T4 defense survivals. So I will be doing a specialized video on that, hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. Alright guys, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.